I'm opening up the space for the art of asking because I've been on an adventure trip. And my adventure trip was an outer adventure trip, but which outer adventure trip is an adventure trip if it doesn't go also into an inner adventure? And my outer adventure trip was traveling to the South Island, to where you are, Arlen, pretty much, by not having a vehicle and not having anything booked and just taking a bus as it came up, asking people whether I could have a ride, hitchhiking, and relying on friends wherever, like Motreka, Takaka area, to have transport and to have sleeping and to have overnight accommodation. And what I realized was that I would hit this point where this discomfort of asking for support or asking, some of it was easy and some of it was like, oh, I feel fear of asking because they might say no, because what does it mean if I don't get what I want, and so on. So all these things got rolling inside of me, and I remembered a WorkTalk or a TED talk actually by Amanda Palmer on the art of asking, which you may have seen, where she talks about, she has perfected crowdfunding in that her whole music production is funded by her fans. So she ends up on this in this TED talk of saying that, well, you know, the question of how do we get people to pay for music is actually wrong. It's about how can we let them pay, like, or how can we receive their money? And that is a question I am with also while I'm asking for funds to build my studio here, my Radically Alive Women's Headquarters. It brings me to my edge of asking for money, not from a victim place, but from a place of creation and collaboration and service to the world and non-material value. And so there's this whole area of asking where I'm aware that you will be in different places, and I want to find out with you, where are you and what is your next step, and to research this also together. How far does this go with asking for what I want? How far does this art of asking go? Because there are these questions that are like, there are middle world questions, right? To organize your life. These are middle world questions. And even there, it can be so daring and so scary to ask for what you want. And I had that experience in my own evolutionary process, and I've witnessed, especially women, but also men. Like, the first step is to say what you want. So you go to Rage Club, you learn to say what you want. But then if you stop there, and it's outside of your creative force, basically. Like, if you want someone else to do something for you and you say what you want, but you don't ask them whether they will do that, it's like you're falling short and you're inviting rescuing in, and then you're not connected to your own power of creating clarity. And so that is another, that is like one step, is this asking for what you want for the sake of clarity, for the sake of collaboration, even in the middle world stuff and the daily organization stuff. And yeah, and from there, we can go into walking with a question, like, who are you? Or walking with these transformative questions, asking each other dangerous questions. That's a whole different universe of possibility opening up there. And yeah, I'm curious. Some of you have written a bit in the forum, but I would like to hear from you. What is your, do you know your X on the map with asking? Where are you? What brings you here with around asking, the art of asking?
It's interesting. I'll go first. It's interesting what you said. The step one is of asking for what you want is, I can't remember what you said step one was, Julia.
Knowing what you want and saying what you want, like knowing it.
Yeah, knowing what you want. So I didn't hear you say that, and I was like, step one for me is actually knowing what I want. And that's where I'm at, actually, is coming out of a life that was phenomenally adaptive, and doing a lot of healing work right now on the fact that I did not have permission to want, and to have, you know, just it's more like the mandate was, make the best of what you get. Like, this is the best you can do, make the best of it. And I became really adaptive, very, very good at it. I'm super proud that I can make lemonade of my lemons, you know, and moving into this place where I want to create, and I want to take risks and choose what I want. And it's like, so that's the stage I'm actually at, not even the asking yet. It's quite remarkable. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited that that's changing.
Cool.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I said the first step was to say what you want, but absolutely, if you don't know what you want, that is like step 0 or step 1.
Yeah, step pre-1.
I'm
Thank you.
here because the title of this work talk really it brought something alive, something that's been alive for me all my life. Well, not all my life. For many decades, I have not really dared to ask for anything for myself. And I remember times when I was still in my marriage that, yeah, I'd almost get social phobia. I would not ask, and I would avoid, and then it would come out sideways. And then if I did sort of, I would let someone know what I want by giving examples and, like, Kiwi word, pussyfooting around. And my asking would then, in my own ears, in my bodies, I would perceive it as very needy and very, I was disgusted by it. And I didn't like how I was asking. And I've noticed in the last 2 years where there were 2 occasions where I asked for a group of people to support me through a stage, that somehow I still did not really have the clarity, you know, like, and was like, oh, it was murky, but I was myself in a murky place. I did not have huge inner clarity, and I wanted to be rescued. I wanted to be told, you know, what I should do, because I felt so much unconscious fear. And now, like 2 weeks ago, I noticed, I have clarity. I'm wanting to ask people to hold space for me so I can do being speaking, because I know what I want. I want to create my new story. And so I had the clarity, and it was like a real go. Yes, I really want this. So the writing of the question was easy, and the energy with with which it must have landed by the people who I asked it, they had a real yes, go. And I thought, wow, okay, hey, there's something different here. So I noticed, over the years, I've noticed a difference in the flavor of my asking. And also, I've noticed the difference from the place with which I ask. You know, how do I say that correctly? It's coming from a different place in me. And I have a sense that the last time I asked about this listening spaces, it really came from my center. It came from my being. I knew what I wanted. It came from my adult. How do I get there? I want to hear my own story. How do I do that? No more shame about talking about myself. No, I want to go ahead. So, yeah, and I'm curious. There are many different ways of asking. And I want to become a legend maker asker that really excites people to be on my team, and excites myself, because I'm done with this victim asking. And I'm also done with guilt trip asking.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's like you want to ask from, you don't want to ask from scarcity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, and not from parent ego and not from child.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're bringing that, because I also looked at what is asking actually, and it is, you can ask from different ego states. And so when I speak of the art of asking, it's not about this asking for permission, what a child would do, this, oh, may I please use your spoon or something, or I don't know, this, or this being wanting to be rescued, or having the scarcity, the scarcity, and then needing someone else to fix it for me. So that is the child ego asking. And then there's the parent ego asking, which is actually not a question. It might be masked as a question, but it's actually a command or a demand. It's like, will you do the dishes? There's no question. It's packed in a question, but it's really a command. And if the other person says no, hell breaks loose.
Yeah, or it can be manipulation, saying, well, I've not, like you didn't do the dishes yesterday. Can you please do the dishes? That's
Exactly.
guilt tripping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that has the parent ego flavor and some gremlin in it. Yeah, the gremlin would be the guilt tripping maybe also, and this blaming energy in it. So it's on an energetic level. And then there's adult asking, where you stand, you have your center, you are connected to your purpose. And I think the key ingredient also is that it is an actual question. And an actual question doesn't only have a question mark, it also is open to any answer. So a no is actually an option to your question. And as soon as the no is not an option as a response to your question, you're not actually asking a question.
It's a demand.
It's a demand, or it's a child needy expectation. It's not a question. It's something else.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which reminds me of a technique that my gremlin has of setting up the result before it's happened. So asking in a way of which will give me the result that I've already predetermined. How I want it to go. And
And how
just
do you do that?
completely kills possibilities. How do I do that?
Or do you have an example? Like, do you have a specific
I'm
example?
Nothing lands in me right at the moment. It'll come. Something will pop up. Possibly even before I ask the question, it could be a bit of coaching about what's getting done, or not even coaching, just sort of a telling of what's getting done, and then can you do that? And really the person's not left with any other option other than to do it that way.
I also hear
That's the kind of sense, the kind of feeling with it.
I hear also in your question, can you do that?
Yeah,
which is
sure.
like I can.
Yes or no. Yes, I can.
Do you want to do that is a completely different question.
And even that is not precise, because
even
I can want a lot of things.
Even that is not. That's a yes and no as well.
Yeah.
So
yes, I can.
And gremlins can get really hooked by the clarity of questions, in that you can really, or my gremlin loves to take questions really word by word. So if someone asks me, can you, or do you want to, my gremlin will totally can get hooked and can really sniff that out and go like, I'm not available until you ask me properly. And that's not that's not really what I want to commit to. And there is this other part of a question can really hit me when it's clear. It can hit me in that when it's clear what someone really wants from me, then I feel like, okay, here's it hits me. It's like boom, and now I'm really asked to come out and and take a stand and say yes or no, like commit to a color or commit to one side or the other. And the will you do that is just, it pierces me. It's like there's no, it's like the sword is there, and then I get to choose. And what you're saying, Jay, one part that I've noticed is also part of the manipulation is to first sort out, it's like, what are you doing tomorrow? Yeah, this question. What are you doing tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah.
Well, that's not actually the interest, right? The interest is, can you drive me to town tomorrow, for example? Or will you? Yeah. And then
it's kind of like testing the waters though, right? So before I make myself vulnerable by asking, I'm going to see that it's even possible.
Yeah, because I don't want to get rejected. I don't want to get told no.
Yeah.
I also have this a bit of apologetic thing that comes in. Like, I know you're really busy, and I know it's raining, and I know that, and you know, I really, and I actually didn't really have that until I moved to New Zealand so much. Like, it's become like this, starting with an apology, like I'm acknowledging that this is probably not convenient for you, and it's almost like this kind of like, I don't know, it's really sticky because there's a little bit of like a guilt tripping in there.
Right.
Carolyn, I do that all the time. I'll set the scene. So
Yeah.
I might be really busy right now, but I really want this to happen. But it's almost like it's cushioning it for.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I sometimes get told it's a command. So I'm after some skills, Julia. Sometimes it sound like a command, and so to not sound like I'm the captain and you do this sort of thing, then I do this. Look, I know you might be busy now, and I know you like a little bit of warning, but can you do this? I'm talking about household staff. Yeah. And that's something that I think I either cushion it so much that I sound pathetic, or it sounds like it's an order. And it's really hard to sometimes, I'm looking for skills, so I'm not apologizing before I've even asked, and I'm also not giving an order. You know, sometimes when I'm in a rush, that's what happens to me too. The asking must sound like, I mean, my school teaching has been a profession. Maybe it comes from that. I don't know, but it's like, can you do this now? So I find it really difficult. It's asking, and also a no. I get lost. You know, like if I get a no, I can sometimes go into this rejection mode when I hear no. It's like a trick. So
Yeah.
you learn. I guess I need to build matrix.
that's a super interesting research on its own, is how do you make a no into a rejection? There's a whole story world there, or like all decisions, emotions around how no becomes a rejection of you when someone says no. I think that is a big part of being like not actually asking the real question, is this thought where that no means rejection of me as a person. Like, so then it's really dangerous, because then it means that I'm worth less, or I'm a bad person if I get a no because I'm rejected.
Yeah, or it comes from a place where you feel that you need to have a valid reason to ask, and that it's not really okay to ask. And so if you do then ask and someone says no, okay, I was wrong, I shouldn't have asked.
What is that? Can you say more about that? So you need a valid reason, and then if someone says no, it questions your logic or your reasoning, or what is it?
And it reflects on me then that I wasn't valuable enough.
Yeah.
I need to have enough value for it to be justified for me to ask.
Right. And I want, is there any sort of level of, not necessarily competition, but I do this for you, you do that for me? Is there any of that in there as well?
Transactional.
That
can be. Yeah.
Conditional
That's a
asking.
big child ego theme that has been there for me.
And something that's actually, I'm just thinking out loud here, this no, what's worse for me than a no is that often I will get silence, and that really throws me. The silence is actually even worse than a no. I can fight back with a no, but the silence just sends me right back into some childhood type rejection type mode. And I have friends who can't say no, so they won't respond. You know, it's a whole, I'm just going through something with a friend right now, and I wanted to, she suggested we meet up in Auckland. I'm going to Auckland tomorrow. And then so I send a text to say, she said, look, I'll give you a choice Friday, we'll meet Friday night or Saturday morning. I've had no response like this. I'd rather she said, no, I'm busy, let's do it next time, but just nothing. And that's, I just, my mind just, I start to play a real head game with that. This is like an old friend going way back, and I know it's a pattern. So I just get nothing, I get silence.
So can I ask you a dangerous question? What's your next question to her?
Well, I haven't even got to that part yet, my next question, because at the moment I'm thinking, oh, well, fuck you.
Yeah, and that's a door that Ireland just opens or presents to you. So you could go through it now. You could just lean into it and say, what is your next question?
It's my next question. I think it is, next time I see her, I will explain the pattern we have in our friendship, in our relationship, and how I'm often left hanging when I don't get a reply. And it's not how I don't like it. Like I could tell her, I could be vulnerable. I could say, you know, it's very hurtful, because there's a silence there, and I can assume, but I don't really know what's going on. Like maybe there's something going on in her life that's so big that she can't even think about her social time. So I can be honest with her. I can be vulnerable with her next time.
Do you have some coaching, Ireland? Because
yeah, I heard you say that you'll wait till the next time you see her. Why not tell her now?
Because I have texted her, and my last question was, in fact, I was even wondering when maybe I start to question how I've texted, and how I left it was, what would suit you? We're flexible. What would suit you? When would you like to see us? Either Friday night when we get down to Auckland, or Saturday morning for coffee. And I've had no reply. And so my next step was I actually phoned, and there was no answer, no acknowledgement. It would have come through as a missed call. So there's been nothing, and I am actually angry because we're only away for a couple of days, and I do like to catch up with friends, and I'm not going to leave the space open. It's not, it's not hard. She could still suddenly ring, but she's done it before. It's a pattern. She's done it lots of times.
Right. I wonder what would happen, Mary Ann, if you were to ask, ask her what goes on for you.
Yeah.
And in that way, you're on his side.
Yes. What goes on for you? What when you don't respond? Yeah. Is that what you mean? When you don't respond.
And I'm thinking of a different possibility. Like when you ask to see someone, saying, hey, I'm in Auckland then and then. I'm interested in visiting you. If you have a yes for that, will you let me know by tomorrow 4 p.m. And that way you give the time slot that you are holding that space open. And then if there's no reply, then you don't need to wait anymore, because that time slot is finished. It's complete. So then you're free to do something different.
Thank you. Rosina.
okay, so we're
But
already
this
in
is
the
something that
yeah.
that's also something that's been very alive in me over the last, like again, many decades. And with PM, I've really learned to ask differently, so that because I have given my center to the other all the time and have been left waiting, hanging, and got me into so much internal low drama. I thought, there must be another way. There must be another way. What do I do with my asking? And
Yeah.
then I've
Because
received some
you ask an open question
yes, the
rather
open
than
question.
a closed question.
Yes, and I was so trained in my study, in my medical study, to ask open questions because that's what you want with, with patient contact often. But like in normal life, that doesn't necessarily work. It's not very practical.
I think it depends on the type of question, because I think there are closed questions like, do you want to meet up when I'm in Auckland? Here are my openings. But then there's also like, what would you like to do? Which could be an open question, which is open to possibilities. So it feels like there's lots of different types of, questions to ask.
Yes. And then you could say, hey, this is what I'd like to do. Are you up for that?
Mm. Mm.
And then, yeah, I love proposal culture, and that's something that I'm still researching how to do that elegantly and excitably.
I just recently, yesterday, wrote a long email to my community, technically reminding them of the working bee for our events park is coming up in August. And there's an expectation that they will attend. But I've never enjoyed those kind of communications. And it creates some resistance in me when I receive them. So I decided to write this as an invitation to something extraordinary, and to also like evoke the connection that's possible with this piece of land that we have, that's our events park. It's a very special place. And so I wrote actually quite a long email, but it was very full of sweet imagery and things like that. It was like somebody wrote back and they said, I absolutely loved what you wrote. And I'll be there. And it was like so cool, because they said it was an invitation rather than this like, hey, this is happening.
Nice.
We need your help. It's a big job. There's a small group of volunteers. We've been holding it together, but the next season is coming and there's so much to do. But it was like, oh, we have these cool projects, and the more hands, the better. And yeah, so that was a great experiment for me yesterday to write that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the experiment is to write from a different place, is what I hear. You've written from a different place than this pressure, scarcity place.
Yeah, well, deep down inside, I was asking. I was definitely being manipulative. I want people there. I want people there, but I also want to appeal. I don't want them to be there out of obligation. I want them to, similar to Amanda Palmer, because it's like, it's not even just paying for music. How do we support our artists? How do we invest? How do we use our time and our energy and our money and whatever it is we have to create the world we want? And that's the place I want to come from with my asking. It's like, I don't want to come from this scarcity, like I need this, but it's actually, hey, here's an opportunity. It's like karma yoga. Here's an opportunity for you to give back to this events field that has created so much transformation for so many. And it loves the attention, that kind of thing. And yeah, so there's some little something started to shift in me yesterday. So it was perfect timing that we had this tonight.
Cool. I sense that there is really room for experimentation with to check energetically how to open, even though, yes, you want people there, otherwise you wouldn't ask, but how you
Right.
keep it, you make it clear and still open, clear, concise, and still it's an invitation, and it's not like what my German box would do with this military stuff. Like, will you be here? This is when it's happening, and in brackets, you are expected to be there, otherwise you're a bad person, you're not responsible. So totally on the old map of responsibility, and there's no juice in it. There's no playful, there's no, so and then the invitation with imagery, this distinction, to find the distinction, not coming from a this is bad place, but to find the distinction to the manipulation, to find that energetic distinction in you, like where am I attached to the outcome, or where am I creating? This is the difference. I think you're in a creation process, and then whoever shows up shows up. You don't have to hate people for not showing up.
Yeah, I was very conscious when I was writing this that I was using storytelling to evoke images and to make it sound like, oh, I don't want to miss that. Actually, it sounds amazing, you know. So
Yeah, and it sort of brings up in me like asking, once you have created an energetic space, asking from that space. You know, you create a cube and you put your intentions or your bright principles in there, and a flavor. Yeah, and that is what you offer the other. And with that offer, you're asking something. But there's also an offer. It's like I'm thinking like it's a win-win situation. It's without the manipulation, without, I don't know if that's very clear. But just asking, I suppose it's from asking from which place are you asking, but just asking with a particular energy flavor.
And I would even take it a step further, because I think you all know that there are 3 kinds of games. There's I win, you lose, and that's the scarcity question. Will you be there because, you know, this is important and you're part of the community, and if you want to benefit from the community, you also have to put some time in. So you lose a bit of time, but then you win. Yeah, I win some and whatever. I win, you lose. And then win-win would be what you just described, Gesine. It's like, oh, no, we both have something from this. Let's collaborate or
Co-create,
collaborate. And the kind of questions I'm interested in is, how do I create winning happening? So then it's open. There's no more room for my expectation, because it's all about trusting myself that I can create, even if the other person that I'm inviting chooses something different. And that's really a different point of origin to come from. And yeah, I feel scared that we're going quite in the bigger picture, and I would like to make it really practical. So let's come back a bit and go into experimenting with just asking simple questions. And I will make breakout rooms, and you'll be in pairs and pick. It's like ask questions and receive feedback and coaching. So the other person could be a representative. That is probably the most useful right now, unless you want to ask the person in front of you something that you actually want to ask them. Now, if I was in a room with Jay, maybe I would want to ask him, hey, will you wash the dishes tonight? I don't know. That could be something I actually ask him. And then I propose we do it this way. So you pick a question that is a bit at the edge of what you're usually asking, and then you ask it with the expectation. You ask it with this, I need the other to answer. You ask that and be in communication about, how does this land? What does it feel like in you? What does it feel in the other? That would be the first step. And then in the second round, open up the space in you and feel whatever comes up when you don't know what the other person is saying. And you're asking without the expectation. You're allowing the space inside of you that the other could say no. And notice what happens in you.
Okay.
Can you say that again?
Shorter.
Shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So one person will ask the other a question, and you tell them who they are. So Gesine, you choose, say you are with Marianne, then you tell Marianne who she is, who she represents. And so Marianne will be the person receiving the question. And you ask the same question. You pick one question from your everyday life that you ask, and she will first, you ask expecting a yes.
Oh.
So you don't say it, but you go with the energy of expecting a yes.
Mhm.
And after that, you converse about it. How does that land in her? How does it land in you? And have a conversation about that. You can ask a couple of times to make it really land. Okay, so play around a bit with that. And then you go into phase 2, which is you're shifting. You can get up and turn around to get out of the expectation energy. Sit down and ask the same question, but opening up your heart, opening up. So there's no expectation as to how the other has to respond, and feel in that moment, feel what's real, what you're feeling when the other says whatever they say, or before they even say it. So you're opening up to feeling rather than handling your feeling with the expectation. And then have a conversation about how that is. So we'll have, say, I think 4 minutes is 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Would you do a third question, expecting a no, and seeing how that comes?
Yeah, we can experiment with that. Yeah, that could be useful actually, because you might actually try to protect yourself. So then expecting a yes, expecting a no, and then the third one would be the open one.
Yep.
So then let's do 6 minutes, 2 minutes for each round. And if you're faster than that, well, I'll hop around into the breakout room.
And
Yeah.
6 minutes.
6 minutes
per
each.
person.
So we'll go through the whole lot with one person and then swap. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, my monitor just died. I'm just going to fiddle with it for a minute, and I hope to be back shortly.
Okay.
Yeah, come on.
Okay, then I'm opening the rooms.
Come on.
Okay, Arlen is here. Great.
Hello.
Okay. Yusina, would you like to ask first?
No. That was already a question.
Expecting a yes.
Oh, you too.
Yeah, you see. Okay. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I've just been in a kerfuffle with my monitor. Let me just have a second. I'm just going to stay with that. Yuzina, can you actually go first in this exercise?
No. I don't want to.
You don't want to.
Yeah, and feel what that feels like. The first one was already authentic, right? You were on a roll, like, oh, there's gonna be a yes, and then feel something. How's that?
Yeah, I felt surprised and in a bit of an unknown, like, oh, what do I do now? Because I had this expectation that, okay, I'll just ask Yasina to go first, and she will, and then I can actually kind of calm down from the monitor stopping, and I can actually be in the receiving space. And I was all prepared for that, and no. So yeah, I did not expect that. So yeah, just notice this like little moment of wobble that happened.
And how is it for you, Yosina, to hear a question that is? Did you notice an expectation, or what is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I felt kind of playful inside. I wasn't too attached to saying either yes or no. And so I just followed my impulse. Where if this wasn't this exercise where I'd be very conscious about it, I would probably default to my habitual response saying, yeah, sure. And then rescue you, or rescue you. Feeling that you're wanting a yes and feeling the restlessness of the kerfuffle and that you're not quite centered yet, that I'll do it now, even though I wasn't, I didn't really want to go first. So I noticed that I did not feel fear, which I could otherwise very well feel, the fear of disappointing someone else.
I propose you really stay with now rather than what you could, everything, then otherwise we're not going to have enough time. And it's time to ask the question again. Ireland, will you ask a question where you expect the yes, the no? No.
Okay. Yeah, I'm wondering, Yosina, if you'd be willing to go first in this exercise with the question answering. Would you be willing to do that first?
No, not now.
Yeah, my impulse was to explain why, because I was just like, I'm feeling a bit like distracted with all of these wires and things that I'm trying to not touch, and I'm not quite with the exercise yet, and I was, I'm just wondering if it's, if it's all right, would you be willing to, could you, like this is what was happening for me. Like, I really need you to go first, but I don't want to tell you that I don't want to go yet. Yeah.
Yeah. What ego state is that?
Oh, that's child.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like victim, actually. There's a little bit of a, yeah, there's like a child needing to be rescued. There's a victim kind of thing. Like I'm on the back foot here, and yeah, I need your help. I need you to help me out right now, because I'm not ready for this, and I really want to do it well, and I want to be fully present, but I'm just not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed this time that I really had to soften my no, because you're already insecure, and I thought like, yeah, no, not this time, sorry. I didn't say this, it didn't go all the way soft, but I really felt it needed to be softer. And to before, when you expected a yes, I wonder whether there was an unconscious part of me of saying fuck you, no.
Yeah.
And because that the recalcitrant, what is like the obstinate child or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because you actually know that I was expecting a no or expecting a yes. I wonder how it would be if you didn't know.
Yeah.
Like if I said
right another now, round.
Like if I said right now, Yasina, I'm not quite prepared to start this exercise. Would you be willing to go first?
And you're putting the introduction. If you just ask the question. Choose for yourself what you expect, and just ask the question.
Yeah. Okay. Yosina, will you go first?
Yes. Did you expect a yes?
I actually was doing the third one where I had no expectation.
Oh, okay. Okay. I felt a bit of a wobble, and I find that interesting because it was an open question, so I did not have anything to react to. I didn't have your expectation of yes, where I can say easily fuck you, no. Yeah. I didn't have your expectation of no, and then just having a choice because you're not expecting. And then there was a blank open. It's like, oh, okay, I feel fear. I don't know, because I can't read you. Oh, that's it. I can't read you. I can't read what you want. So I can't, I can't calibrate what my good girl needs to do. Fuck, that's interesting. Oh, juicy.
How was it for you, Ireland, to ask it openly? Like, what?
It was cool, and I also felt like I had to. There was a part of me I could feel. I don't know if it was gremlin joy or something, like there was like I was in the game now, and I wanted to slip it in before she could, like I wanted to catch her off guard before she could actually have a prepared response. So yeah, there was something. There was a wanting to be clean, but it wasn't entirely clean because I was playing a little bit. I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna do that, and
Maybe that's
yeah,
what I felt. Oh,
Cool, and it's so cool how you sense these energies is so subtle, huh? So go, please swap around and let the other person go.
yeah.
that you're wanting to come. And then, yeah.
I can't just turn up. I need to book. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because we have, we have, because especially if you're coming for a week.
Okay. And do you provide a roof over my head? Because I'm not really that into camping. So do you provide, and especially in winter, I like to be somewhere warm.
Depends. So you were just saying you were going to come in summer. Now you want to come in winter. So there's a bit of unclarity. It's getting a bit murky. Right.
Who's asking
sudden,
where are you at? Can I ask are you asking the questions, Marianne?
Yes, I'm actually doing I'm asking to come down and stay at Jay's place and be involved with Raw in some way. And I'm just asking, like, I mean, I know I've been a bit wishy-washy because there's two scenarios here. If I suddenly felt like I needed just to get away and have some time out, do you have that facility? And I think you actually did say quite a clear no. Did you say no to that? Or did you say it depends?
I propose you ask the question again, Marianne, and have you done it with expecting a no or with expecting a yes yet?
I don't know. I've got a yes for coming down, but I've also got.
I propose you really ask the question. This is so clear that you say,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Can I come? Can I come down with a couple of days' notice or a week's notice, or even two? I could. Okay. Can I? Is 2 weeks? Okay. This is the question. Is 2 weeks' notice enough to come and stay? Number one, and number two, do you
Wait, just one question. Just one question. Just do one question. Otherwise, you're
okay. 2 weeks.
frying.
Is 2 weeks enough time to?
Depends. Carry on. I think that's your question. You've already asked your question, Marianne.
Well, and that's really great coaching.
Time,
so just stop and do again, Marianne, because this is really where you're at. It's like just ask one question and let the other answer and feel what you're feeling. Go.
Okay. What's the lead-in time to come and stay at your place, Jay?
Really depends on what is going on at the time, Marianne, and who's here, how many people are here already, how much space there is available, etc. Whether there's a few things involved.
I propose you make it a bit more dangerous for yourself, Marianne, that you say really a question where Jay has to say yes or no. So, can I be there in 2 weeks to stay for 3 days?
Jay, can I be there in 2 weeks to stay for 3 days?
3 days? Yes, you can.
Thank you. I got my yes.
How do you, how does that land in you? How is that for you, Marianne, to hear that?
That sounds good. I would need logistics though, but we don't need to do that here.
Yeah, and what are you feeling? Like, what are you feeling when you hear that?
I'm feeling that I can be brave, and if I suddenly had this desire to
anger, sadness, fear, or joy. There's only 4 feelings. It makes it really simple. What are you feeling?
I feel joy. I feel joy.
Yeah.
Joy that there's a yes for that.
Did you expect a yes or a no, or did you expect nothing before you asked?
I expect that. Well, it depends on where we're at. How full our house is. So it was, are we going to be, maybe won't be home, all those things.
Mhm.
What landed for me, Mary Ann, in giving a small, precise question was that then I was able to provide an answer. And whereas before that, you asked multiple questions and there was no clarity.
Yes.
And you asked question after question after question
But-
with no real time for me the answer. The person being asked.
Mm.
I had to give
Thank
a lot
you.
of information in a pretty quick time.
Jay, what would be really great for Marianne where she is now is if you gave her coaching
Yes.
rather than tell her what doesn't work. Like you give her
Okay.
one possibility what she could do differently.
Yeah. So, just be more concise in your question.
Thank you.
Like having, that's the coaching I have at the moment for you.
Mhm.
Be more concise and precise. So,
Will you ask the same question again with no expectation? Whatever. He might say yes, he might say no, and you just ask the same question again.
Jay, I'd like to come down to your place in 2 weeks' time for 3 days. Can I come down? Can I come down to your place in 2 weeks' time for 3 days?
I believe, Marianne, that there's a very good opportunity for you to be able to come down. I really need to put it to the whole village that's here. And we don't live in a hierarchical place, so everybody is involved in that conversation.
Thank you.
Is that clear? Is that answer clear to you, Marianne?
I was just thinking, wow, have you guys got a village down there? So
Well, is that
I've got
clear?
no-
Is that clear to you? Is the answer clear to you?
Well, I don't know what a village is. What does a village mean?
Yeah, and you don't know by when
Okay,
he will
so
get
that's a
back
good
to you or
question.
anything. So the next question, this is the space where you ask your next question. He just told you, I will have to speak to my village. And now you could ask, so by when can you give me? So ask that next question. By
Yes.
when will you tell
When,
me?
okay, when will you tell me what answer the village is going to?
I can put it to the village this evening, and can let you know tomorrow.
Thank you.
So there's some gremlin looseness in there where now you could keep your sword, Marianne, and say, will you let me know tomorrow then?
Jay, will you let me know tomorrow what the village says?
Do you have a specific time that you need to know by?
Midday?
Yes, I can let you know by midday.
Okay.
Thank you, Jay.
Notice.
Actually, no, sorry. No, I can't let you know by midday, but I can let you know by the end of the day.
Can you provide clarity what the end of the day means for you?
Yeah, sorry. So 6 o'clock in the evening, by 6 o'clock.
Okay, Jay, I'll write that down and I look forward to your reply by 6.
Yeah, and you said can't, like, I'm picking on it because you asked, will you? And he responds with, I can. And that leaves really room for energetically for gremlin. So you can keep your sword and say, okay, will you? You don't have to hate him for it, but you say, will you? So stick to your will you, like you have this sword.
Jay, will you provide clarity about this visit by 6 o'clock?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Wow. I don't know about you, but I noticed this is a wide field for research in all sorts of directions. I feel glad about it, and I also feel scared about that to keep, to make it useful here. What did you find out?
Ooh.
Oh, Marianne, you seem to have.
I found out that when I ask a question, I'm in low drama, and my pattern is I ask so many questions that even if the recipient was or was not in low drama, it creates confusion because so many questions get fired. I can't, there is no clear answer. It's impossible to get a clear answer because I fire boing, boing, boing. And it was good. It was great. It was a great opportunity because to actually highlight that, because that is definitely my pattern, this firing too many questions too quickly. Yeah. So thanks. And thanks, Jay, for the coaching as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's a really good, thank you.
I found it doesn't take the change of many words to ask the same question in the 3 different ways. And like if you're expecting a yes,
Will you speak an I, Jay?
you kind of dress. Sorry, if I speak and yes, I can. Yes, I will. That's even better, isn't it? And if I have an expectation of a yes, I can dress it up a bit so that it lands with the person as not being putting them out. And then if I'm expecting a no, I can dress it up so that it is quite a big thing. And then if I have an unknown outcome, I can make it really clear and simple, uncomplicated. So I have an expectation of a yes. I can make it really small. If I want it to be if I have an expectation of a no, it's not that I want. If I have an expectation of a no, I can dress it up and make it way bigger than what it is. And if I have an unknown expectation, an unknown outcome, it's just straight, really, the question that I'm asking.
Thank you.
Do you get that? Do you get that? I can give the examples. Like I said to Marianne, look, I'm coming up to Kiri, and you know, do you know of anyone that I can stay with? And really, the first one for the yes was that I was traveling lightly and that I was. Sorry, I can't remember how I put it. The no, I said I had a lot of stuff and that I didn't know how long I was going to be staying for. And then the unknown outcome was that I told where I was going and that I'd be passing through.
That is super interesting because I don't hear that you asked, can I stay with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I.
Oh, wow.
I just got talked into it, and Jay wouldn't tell me. Jay wouldn't tell me if it was for real or not. I said, "Is this a real live situation?"
Oh,
He said,
wow.
do we have to know if it's real or not? And
So I'm curious, like, because this is like my survival strategy totally gets this. It's like I want to stay with one of you, and I will just say, hey, I'll be in the area. Do you know anyone I could stay with? And it's like playing the bands, right? It's playing the sides to get to where I want to get. And it's playing safe because why? Why? What, Jay, was in the way of asking Marianne, I'll be coming through Carrie, can I stay with you? And then expecting a yes,
Yeah,
expecting a no, and so on. What is what is
sure.
behind that?
Not wanting to put someone out, you know,
What does that mean?
means not wanting to be a burden on someone, not wanting to be too much work for someone.
Yeah.
So these are stories, and this is so good to notice.
Yeah.
It's a story that if you stay with, there's an assumption that if you stay with someone, you're putting them out, you're a burden, you're too much or something.
Yeah, that they won't have time, that they, there's so many stories in there, isn't there?
Does anybody else know these stories about
Thank you. Yes, Jay. Yes, I totally know them. And I've just realized that this year, sort of definitely this year, my way of asking to stay with someone has totally changed. I notice in how you pose the question, like, I'm going to be in the area and da da da. That for me, I've done that for decades, asking because I'm a burden. And now it's like, hey, I'm there. I'm coming through. I'm looking for a place to stay. Can I stay with you? And it's either a yes or no. And it's like yeah, great. I can be great company for someone. I'm alive, and I want to create alive spaces, and I want to stay with you. I want to create a live space with you. So my asking has changed. And what I noticed with asking with Erin was the first,
Zina, hold on. Will you pause a moment? Because I think Jay wasn't finished. Just pause for a moment. Yes. It looked like you still had something else, Jay. Were you finished?
No, I was just getting hooked in with what you and Zina was saying too, and that what I noticed, I actually think this came up a while ago with you, Julia. Somehow you'd gone somewhere to stay, and you'd gone there with such enjoyment of being there, and that the asking had been more like what you Zina was saying. I'm coming, and I've got I'd really love to hang out with you. Haven't seen you for a while, really enjoy your company, and I've got chocolate cake. Yeah.
Bribery.
It's a different form of manipulation. No, I don't remember that. I don't usually travel with chocolate cake. Yeah.
It wasn't chocolate cake, but I remember there was something around you arriving there with something. I can't. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. But yeah, creating the experience
in
to be more attractive.
The essential part that I pick up on is also on what you said, Zina, and with Jay. When you ask, in this instance, Marianne, hey, and that was a real question. Hey, I'm coming to Kitty. I want to stay at your place. May I? Will you host me? Then if it comes from the scarcity of, well, I need a place to stay, this will be a cheap way of spending the night. This sets up the scene it sets up the scene. It's a bit like your email example, Erlen. But if you go into if you can find in yourself the ecstasy of actually going to see Marianne, and that you get to stay there for the night is like a benefit. It's like you're going to discover the village, the wider village. It's so much more fun also. And then, there's something that's the shifting the point of origin. Where are you coming from, and where's your center? Where is your center really? Is your center in scarcity, or is your center in creating something that excites you? And if you don't want to stay with Marianne, then you don't, then don't even ask. That's the next step. It's like, ask for what you want. If you don't want that, and it comes from scarcity, don't ask for it. Like, find the real want.
Oh, and I remember how I termed the one expecting a no. I said, I don't suppose you know of anywhere. Yeah, so it's like a double negative.
That's so
Mhm.
manipulative.
That's
You don't want to do this for me, do you?
And Jay, I so really hope the
Yeah.
You might be passing each other as you drive to visit each other.
And then I just cut for 3 nights, and then Jay said, "Do you have to do your laundry?"
Okay, so there's lots of room for Gremlin also in answering questions, but I think we're getting to the gist of, okay,
Yeah.
that is your
Yeah.
strategy to avoid. Come back to, I think it's really mainly avoiding the fear, avoiding to feel the fear.
Yeah.
I'd love to
Yeah, go,
add
Yosina.
something about, like, so I noticed when I was asking Erilyn questions, the expectation of a yes or a no were rather subtle. And when I asked Erilyn to be my son, and I asked him to do the dishes, I could, and I asked Erilyn the first time with a no in my mind. She could sense that I was expecting a no. And then I really had to recalibrate to be actually able to ask a question from an open space. And Erilyn could feel a huge difference, and that I felt such sadness knowing how easily it was for Erilyn to tell, because, and the sadness is that I recognize how many times usually I ask my son with the expectation of receiving a no, and that I've heard from him that he feels that he's a disappointment for me.
Oh.
So it goes really deep. It's like, fuck, okay, I really want to create something different. And I just hear that he's arrived in his car, so there may be a knock on the door soon. So
how
I'll
did you
mute him.
how did you do that, Yosina, the shift? Because that would be applicable with your son in real life. How did you shift?
Yeah. Oh, just really taking the time to create a massive gap between the question and relinquishing the expectation, just putting the expectation of a no aside, and just trying to see him in a, hey, it really doesn't matter whether you do or you don't, but I'm asking. I just ask. And yeah, it was different. And
Is
I
that
felt
how you
joy.
phrased? Is that how you phrased the question, Yosina?
No, I just asked, will you do the dishes tonight? I asked the same question, same words, but just
Yeah.
from a
Okay.
different
Yeah,
energy
cool.
space.
Yeah, it was the
Nice.
same question, different energy.
Ah, cool.
I found it
And
really.
and then I said to Erilyn, yeah, I know the power of the intention, or I know the power you can put in between the space between you and another person, or between myself and the other person, with my expectation. I mean, I'm super sensitive to other people's expectations. It's like, okay, high alert.
I found that really obvious. It was really beautiful to see in your space, Arlen and Yosina, how sensitive you both are to the same wording but a different energy in the question. It's really literally the same question. Makes it so obvious.
Yeah. It's what I would nickname the subtle art of creating.
The subtle art of creating, the subtle art of
Sounds like a
asking.
WorkTalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
does.
like a WorkTalk.
Yo.
Will you hold it, Yosina?
Yes.
Ooh.
Hey.
I was expecting a yes.
I was expecting yes.
Yeah,
too.
fully. Totally. She was under pressure from the crowd.
I did not feel the pressure. I felt my own desire.
That's another thing. That is when you're unhookable. The expectation can be there and you still are free to move into either direction. You know, that is actually the freedom that each one of us has. And it can be
Yeah.
really easy to feel pressured and even breathless by all the expectations from the outside, but they are really like from the outside, and so they don't have to affect you. It's cool.
I had that experience with one of the questions Josina asked me, where I paused for a minute. I just took a moment before I answered, and then I realized that it was not a yes or no question for me, and I just said I'll decide at the time. And that was like, whoa! I loved it. I loved that. Yeah. It felt really good that I wasn't pressured by, like, I wasn't thinking about what does she need, what does she want, what would be the best, and I just went, oh, I'm not going to decide that right now. That was really good.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, what I noticed in this exercise also is that there is an art in really asking clearly. Like, you're asking just one question. I so resonate with what you shared, Marianne, in that when I started the Edgecast, I noticed how many questions I shot at these people at once. I would ask 3 questions in the same sentence. And that would just lead to this chaos in the space because it wasn't clear which question was I actually asking. And so,
can I just, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just getting cold. Just gonna put something more on than just a t-shirt on.
okay. Yeah, and
Julia, what you said, yeah, you go.
Yeah, so the art of asking includes also to just ask one question, to ask one and start with one. And then you ask the next question after the one has been answered.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Josina?
Well, have you asked yourself why you do that? Why you ask so many questions? Because I do that too. And when Marianne said it creates confusion, I felt like, oh, there's a big hint. Who's doing this? And why do I need to create confusion in the other?
It's a very good question. And from my history, I'm hiding, I think it's something to do with my gremlin in my survival box. And I'm hiding, I think there's a feeling there behind the questions being fired. And the feeling is, for me, is fear.
Yeah.
The fear is so great that often I don't even hear the answer.
I've noticed that in myself too.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of someone else's anger or fear of being rejected.
Fear, okay.
That's for you, is it, Josina? Fear of anger and fear of being rejected.
Yeah. Fear.
What were you gonna say, Arlen? You seemed like you had something for the space.
No, I'm finding this really fascinating, actually, and yeah, this kind of the multiple question thing is like, I think for me, I do the multiple question thing, but I also do this whole couching it in possibilities. Like I'll give a multiple choice question, or
Yes.
and I think it takes so much kind of courage or something to actually ask, so that it comes out like, and it's like, because there's not this kind of, because I'm not centered or grounded or whatever it is, but that it takes like some kind of like burst, so it just kind of like blurts out, and there could be a lot in there. And yeah, and it can also happen answering a question too, that when I'm feeling scared, it's just like it just comes out like high water pressure fire hose with no one holding it.
I'm really getting also through these exercises how much asking a question is related to the sword.
Yeah.
So when I ask a multitude of questions, it's like I'm using this how do you call it, like a gun that has these, that goes like
gunshot,
like a machine
gun, but with the many shots at once into different directions. Whereas when I'm asking
shotgun,
a shotgun, okay, and the like asking a question in a way that it actually can land in the other and in the space and can actually serve me, because I'm asking the question for a purpose, my purpose. That's then like a slice cut with the sword. And that's like, boom, this is my question. And my motivation for the boom is when I have some fear in there also. And the fear, I think, is often related to like missing an opportunity. If I don't ask it all at once, I'm going to miss the real thing.
Right.
Rather than just connecting to the fear and speaking, that's the experiment that I've been doing. It's letting the fear ask the question, so that I have the next question, and then I take it further. You know, it's just finding the next step with the fear on the hand, like the sword with the clarity, the fear as information. What is the actual question right now? And the connection with the sadness. Yeah. Oh, quite where the joy.
What comes to me with the asking like a shotgun? I think I use that when I already know the answer to the question I'm asking, or I already know the answer that I want to be in the space. And so you can ask this question, and it lands all over the place, and it creates confusion. Or, you know, or just a simply, well, I don't know kind of answer. And because it's not nice to tell people what to do, it's more polite to ask people. Ha! What's that?
Oh, yes.
Oh dear.
Oh, do you want to be nice?
No, that's just what came to me. That's just, you know, just you know, that's what arrived at me then.
Yeah.
And that is a great question, Erilyn. I'm not sure that it really landed in you, Jay. I would suggest you take it with you, like put it in your pocket.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
Jay, I was just going to ask a question as well. When you already know the answer to the question you're asking, is that question coming from your gremlin?
Not sure.
Yeah. Also not so sure whether
Probably.
that serves, like,
not sure.
because it doesn't really make it clearer.
Matters.
The interesting question would be, you know, there is, or I think the interesting research is what is going on for you there. And that is the key. It's like, it's not nice to tell people what they should do. So there's a parent lurking, wanting a certain result. And it's more polite to ask, as also a parent should. You know, you should ask. And I think that is a really big, that is a huge topic around asking is, do you ever notice that you don't ask for certain things because your filter doesn't allow, your politeness filter doesn't allow you to ask? What kind of questions are that you're not allowed to ask? It's not polite.
Not just politeness. I think there's also filters of self-value. If you feel that you're not valuable, then, you know, to actually go and ask for something that you want.
Can you make it personal, using a psychic?
Yeah. So if I believe that I don't deserve what I ask for, it will pass through the filter of non-value and rejection. And yeah, it's likely that I will be rejected because I projected into the space already.
Do you have an example for that? The not deserving?
Yeah. Can you please come and visit me this time?
So asking for what you want.
Asking for what I want from a place where I feel that I don't deserve.
Mhm.
So it's asking with an expectation that I will not receive. Well, it's basically asking from a place of scarcity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that, and that's by using the word please.
No, it's more the energy
Is
with
it?
which I ask. It
Yeah.
doesn't,
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
Right.
The words don't
Yeah.
mean. I'm really speaking from the energy.
Yeah.
And my
Okay.
voice will change, and my demeanor
Huh.
will change. My facial expression will change. It's more likely that I have my head to the side.
Yeah, puppy eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Ah.
little bit like, oh,
Yeah.
possibly.
Yeah.
And this is something I've noticed in my daughter. She'll have a baby voice, little girl's voice. And I can hear that in other adults sometimes. It's like, wow, okay, that's a child ego. I mean, that there's such a child voice with which, oh, can I? Yeah, could you do that? It's or saying, can you?
Can also be White Widow.
Oh yeah,
And that's all related to manipulating to get what you want, right? Because of
yes,
what is the fear? Not to get what you want.
yes.
Yeah. And to be rejected and judged for asking.
And that's the thing again, to be rejected, like a no is a rejection. How does that go? So curious.
Yeah.
And also be judged for asking. That's a
Yeah,
doorway
being
into the
judged for
gremlin game.
asking. Oh, this is huge. Hey, I had something else about Erilyn, when you said multiple choice questions.
Yeah.
What at some point I learned to do with my children when they were young, like, young as in 3 to 5 years old, and I needed to get them both bathed, showered, whatever, ready for bed. I would, like, instead of being, come on, go to bed, mom's tired, just hurry the fuck up, I want to be done by the day. No, I started asking, so would you like to have a bath before dinner or after dinner?
Yeah.
Basically, but either way, you're going to have a bath. So I gave them the choice, but I knew that they were going to have a bath because that they could make a choice. So that was the multiple choice question, either this or this. And actually, it's top grade manipulation, because you give them the perception that only those two choices are available. So one or the other, and you'll still be choosing what I want. The child will still be choosing something that I want them to do. The outcome is already predetermined. And at the same time, I am parenting. And, if I give my children open-ended questions all the time, it'd be chaos, possibly. I didn't want to try that. I'd sometimes try it, but, sometimes it was like, we need to get them into bed. So, yeah. The art of asking is.
What else is in the way? Which stories of the
I have a story along the, like, asking from scarcity, and also I even as I sit in this example, I can feel my fear come up of being judged and being inadequate, like unworthy of the thing I'm asking for. And that is, a year ago, our car died. A year ago yesterday, our car died on Takaka Hill. We've been without a car for a year. And so I have had many times had to do things, and I had to ask to borrow cars. Or I have paid to hire a TUI bombs vehicle, and I would rather pay to hire a TUI bombs vehicle than to ask someone to borrow their car. Because I have the story that I should have my act together enough to have replaced my car by now. So I feel I'd rather pay to hire one of the company cars than to ask someone to borrow their car. Yeah.
Thank you, Erilyn.
Thank you,
The
Erilyn.
judgment.
Really lands in me.
So what is the you should have your act together, and what does that mean?
Yeah, so there's a judgment. I have a judgment on my. I have, there's like an expectation that I'm an adult. I should be able to provide transportation for myself, and I should be able to raise the funds to buy a decent car, et cetera, et cetera. Like all of this, like it all taps into you know, these stories that I'm a sloppy, messy non-adult. And so then if I ask to borrow your car, that opens me up to receive your feedback that I'm already giving myself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'd rather avoid it. So I pay money to borrow a car. I mean, if I borrowed your car, I would also put petrol in, but you know, it's like, yeah.
Erilyn,
That's a
does
big
it
one.
also land if you, I mean, like, I should not ask because I should not have any needs.
Oh, yeah, I should be able to, I should be sorted.
I should be sorted.
Right.
I shouldn't need.
I shouldn't be in this predicament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had that one big time. I should not need. Even as a child, I should not need. I should not ask.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I would like to go into an experience of that more. I'd like to open up another space, a breakout room space, and let's find out what happens in there together. But I get a sense it would be great to ask something that you're really scared of asking, and the other can be a representative. And then let yourself feel the fear and just let the fear run through yourself and keep your heart open as you're asking. So you notice the stories like, fuck, I cannot ask for this. I'm so rude for asking that, or they will hate, they will think of me, whatever. Let all that come up, and you can make notes afterwards, but let it come up and connect to your center and this adult in you that can still stand there, although all these stories are going on, and you can feel whatever comes up, fear, sadness, anger against yourself, whatever it is, letting that come up, and you still ask that question. And the other, yeah, will probably be a representative, but you could also make it real and say, hey, will you gift me $200? I don't know, make it something dangerous for you. Choose a dangerous question that is dangerous for you, and you ask either the person that is actually in front of you, or you ask him to be a representative, and you ask that question, let it come up. The other can respond from that place, and I encourage you not to go into discussions. If you end up in a discussion, just stop and go back into the exercise so that you can then feel what was going on. And so it's about you gaining information about your inner world when you ask a question that is dangerous for your system. Is that?
I'm going to have a
Is that
quick toilet break.
Okay.
Yep.
Carlin, you look a bit confused.
We're asking a question either of the person or a representative that's a dangerous question for us to ask.
Yeah, for your own
A
box, it's dangerous. So
request.
it's not a dangerous question for the other, it's for your own box. Yeah.
And it's about noticing
Mm-hmm.
what happens inside us
Yes.
with the asking and the whole part. Yeah.
So that it shows you where is your limitation, where are your limiting beliefs, where are your stories, what emotions come up, and which feelings are there.
Okay.
I'm scared. I'm already scared.
Yeah, you're scared.
It's really pertinent. I've got a question to ask someone tomorrow. That's really scary.
Great. So you take that one and practice.
I will.
Okay, I'm opening up the rooms, and Josina will be there soon.
Okay.
I'm just going to go to the toilet.
Okay, harvesting time. Anything to share? What you found out?
I actually, listening to Josina actually helped me with my fear, but she mirrored, just the transition was amazing. When the question changed, you see her use her conscious anger, and it really worked, and the conscious anger really landed in me when I was being seen as son. It really landed for me. You totally changed. It's almost like you turned around and suddenly you were there using your conscious anger to say what you wanted. So asking with conscious anger, it works. I can see that. Vicky,
Thank you. And asking with conscious anger wasn't even conscious. I mean, my anger came up and then I spoke. Yeah.
okay.
So I, with saying that, I get clarity around when I ask from the actual feeling that is there, it is authentic.
Oh.
Do you all get how vulnerable it is to ask for what you want? It's like it's really taking your heart out of your body,
totally.
putting it there, and it's like, here's my heart. Please choose what you do with it. And the beauty of it is,
I had sweaty palms.
You had sweaty
I had
palms.
sweaty palms, like my hands were, feeling the fear. Carry on,
And what was the fear about?
It was a pretty big question. It was a pretty big thing to ask someone. And it was about, it was limiting belief that I have around being able to ask for help, showing how vulnerable that I'm in a situation where I need to ask for a big bit of help, in essence. Yeah, and I got some really good coaching around how it wasn't clear. And then the actual question I built up with sort of a couple of problems, and then dropped in the question without, making it quite sound like it was going to be a difficult thing already.
So were you already expecting, do you have the story that there will be a no, or that this is not possible anyway, or something like that?
Yeah, I kind of do. Yeah, that's right.
Because that sounds similar to what you said you did earlier in that exercise, where you make it big when you expect a no, you prop it up.
Yes.
So
right.
that could be really gold for you to take with you to, okay, I'm propping it up. Oh, I'm expecting a no. It's like, and then find the way how you can shift and open up so that this no expectation doesn't block the flow.
Yeah, thanks.
I noticed in mine that I was actually less concerned about the no, but I can still feel it in myself. I'm very concerned about affecting the relationship where I'm actually being vulnerable and I'm asking for something, but then that could actually affect our relating and slash your opinion of me, slash, how we interact in the future, things like that. So I noticed that came up where actually this particular relationship is very important to me. And so I had this, like, I need to be careful. I don't want to screw it up. Yeah.
Thank you. One thing that I noticed as I was in one of the spaces was there is a distinction between a question and a boundary. And it's really great to notice in yourself, when is it time for a boundary versus when is it time for a question? And I want to mention that because a question it's really not about you asking for permission. The question comes from your center, but it affects it. It is a starting point for collaboration. It is at a point where you are where you're at the. It's like you're reaching the end of your own realms, and you need to collaborate with someone else to create something bigger than your own realm, something like that. Yeah. So a question is when you go outside of your own area and you invite collaboration, really, or you're asking for something. Whereas a boundary is where you're totally in your own realm. I don't know whether the description is totally accurate yet.
Yeah, so hang on. So you're saying, can you slow that down? So your question is, you're outside of your own realm.
And you're inviting collaboration. It's like
inviting,
Yeah.
right.
Whereas a
Yeah,
boundary, is your own, this is where you are in your own realm, and you don't ask for someone to honor your boundary. It's like, this is your boundary. And then you state your boundary. This is not for a question. A boundary is not for a question. A question is a start of a negotiation in a way. And negotiation and boundary are different. Like a boundary is not negotiable because it is a boundary.
Yeah, that really lands in me. Not asking, can you not do that, please? When I have a boundary, I'm not asking nicely for you to please stop. I'm telling you, stop.
Stop. Yeah, this is the stop
or there
versus.
will be consequence. Yeah. Yeah.
So to find in yourself, oh, here is my boundary, and I will state my boundary. And you don't have to kill the other person for having your boundary, but this is your boundary. This is for your conscious anger. This is where you honor your own integrity by you owning your boundary. And you might know that you sometimes you do move your boundary, and then you lose the respect for yourself, and you beat yourself up for not honoring your boundary. And that whole game you do with yourself. So it's really yours to keep your boundary. And if someone doesn't respect it, you still get to choose what you do with that. This is for you to honor. And then the question is where you go into a collaboration with someone and you start negotiating, and then you can negotiate for collaboration, for intimacy, for co-creation, for your own projects, but it goes into a collaboration with someone else. So where it becomes not only about you, you're involving someone else into your world. And that is where you need their collaboration. Yeah, simple as that. And so it's not about you asking for permission or giving your center away. You still have your own realm. And like this queen or king, you are reaching out to someone to co-create, to collaborate.
And possibly even to invite them in.
Yeah, to invite them in, to play together, whatever,
garden.
creation. Yeah.
I had this great learning a lot of years ago that inviting someone to experience their own generosity is one of the best gifts you can give them.
Can you say that again?
Giving someone the opportunity to be generous is a gift to them.
Thank you. We're reaching the end, which I feel a little bit sad about because it seems like a big field to research. Yeah. I mean, I invite you to keep researching, to keep exploring your edge of what is, if you don't know what it is that you want, continue to find that out. Like really research that first. And also experimenting with it, really like asking questions is a field of experimentation. So if you're stuck with asking the questions, say the question, and then you hear yourself say it and you say, oh, this didn't sound right, I'll have a do-over. Like allowing yourself to have do-overs also with questions. And have fun experimenting with this This realms. And I'm guessing that you have all probably emotional healing processes that you could go through to make more space for your own questions. So you could also do that.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Julia,
team.
this
Thank you.
space has thoroughly turned me on. Thank you for bringing it into reality,
Yeah.
to beingness. Awesome.
Yeah, loved being with you in this wild research.
Awesome
Thank
to
you.
see you all.
Great to see you all too.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Ka
Thank
kite.
you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.